Greetings, I'm Joel with North Country Vans. Welcome back to another build video. And in this one, we are doing wall panels. So last we left off, we got the subfloor in. We've made quite a bit of progress since then. We have all our furring strips in, and we're carpeted it in the areas that we need to be carpeted that we're going to cover up. And we are going to put these wall panels in. So you can see I already have some started. The lower sections are done, but I need to do the upper ones. And let me step up in there. I wanted to show you something. If you look, our panels are scribed pretty tight to the wall there. Here's our seam between the two panels. And you can see this one is scribed right down close to this A-pillar. And this can be tricky. It's one of the harder parts of doing a van conversion. So I'm going to work on getting our top panels scribed to the wall right here. And this is going to be a pretty interesting one, because if you look up here, the frame of the van actually extends out a little bit more than our furring strip, which is why we have it carpeted here. We're going to have to kind of cut down and then at about this point come in to meet this. Now, the first step that I do is I take a piece of wood, a piece of scrap, and I kind of get it somewhat rough shaped to where I want it, as far as trimming up in here, so I can get kind of close to the edge there. And then just going to screw it onto that furring strip. And this is going to give me a nice template so that I can scribe it to the wall. You want to make sure you're lined up to where the top panel is going to meet your bottom, or wherever you're bringing two panels together. So there's two tools I use to do this. Now, if I'm scribing to a hard surface like the A-pillar up front, or let's say you're scribing to the wall of your van that's hard, I would use just a regular compass. And this works really well. You would just keep it spaced out like so, and you would follow down, and then you'd mark your line and then cut in the line. You'd get it scribed right tight to the wall. The only issue is this carpet has insulation behind it, so it's kind of flexible. So I want to be able to push a little bit so I can butt this panel right into that carpet and kind of hide that edge a little bit. And if I try pushing with this, I'm just going to keep moving my compass, and that needle's going to get caught on things. So what I use is just a little piece of scrap wood that I have some holes drilled in, and the top hole is a little bit bigger than the bottom hole, so my pencil doesn't fall all the way through. Now the first step for scribing this is I need to figure out which hole to use. So I go to the widest point where my cut on this board is going to be the shallowest, and I figure out which hole I need. So we're going to say this one right here. I'm just going to put a little mark to remind myself. And this is kind of similar. If you guys watched how to figure out weird shapes in your van, kind of similar to a ticking stick, where I'm just making little marks, and I'm going to connect the dots, and then cut it up. Well, it took me 2 tries, but we have this one scribed nice to the corner here. And if you remember, up here, this part extends out a little bit past our furring strips, which is why we had to make this kind of cut here. And we're going to deal with that again on this side of it. So the upper bulkhead here where the sliding door fits into extends a little bit further out than our furring strip. Once you get down to about here, just above that carpet seam, then the furring strip extends out a little bit past where this carpet sits, if you can kind of see that. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a panel to come up just past this furring strip, in and back up. Now I could take these measurements now and just cut a single piece of plywood to fit this whole opening, but I'm going to do this in 2 steps, cutting kind of this end piece here first to show you guys how I can get panels, or how you can get panels to line up with a tight seam like that, even though you're scribing both sides of that plywood. So let me get this second end template cut, and we'll go from there. Let's say that this was actually a longer distance. Let's say this was over 8 foot, where we would have to seam 2 pieces of plywood to come together. And this is the neat part of it. So let's say that we wanted our seam to line up on this board. What I would do is I would find the center point of this furring strip, and then I would measure to the end of my template. So I would say 8 inches approximately. And then I would take this template, bring it over to my final board that I have cut, and I would lay the template on and make sure it's 8 inches from the edge of that board. That way my seam will land right here. And then from the edge of that seam, I would measure over to the next one, get that exact measurement, and then take it over the final board, set it on there, and make sure that my end template is spaced that distance off the edge of this board. And that's how you can get your seams to line up nice and tight. Well, we're ready to transfer our templates onto our final board. And so I have one template clamped down here on the end. I'll use a jigsaw to rough cut it, and then we'll use a flush trim bit, a pattern bit in our router to finish that off. And now I need to figure out where to put my other end template at. So I know that I need 33 and 11/16 of space between those two ends. So I'll mark that out. And you want to make sure that you get a really good accurate measure on this, otherwise you might be too long or too short. So make your mark and then use a square to get a good line right where your mark is. And we just have to line this edge up onto that mark, clamp it down, and then we're ready to start cutting. Well, we have our top panel done. I think that turned out pretty sharp. And I jumped ahead on you guys, and I got the other side done as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you in your builds as you're lining these panels up to get them scribed to the wall and get everything fitting nice and tight, and it's just going to look that much better. So anyways, I'm going to go through. I got to fill all these staple holes, and then we're ready to paint. So toodaloo.